you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to LaFleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Matt Ohayon with you. Happy Friday, everyone. Not Tony, it's me for our regular listener, or for our non-regular listeners. First-time listeners, you decided to tune in. You're expecting Tony. I'm Matt Ohayon. I take over for Friday nights. All right. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group is a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. We're also brought to you by Playground. Step into the world-renowned poker experience at Playground, where free food and drinks at cash game tables, a bad beat jackpot, and weekly promotions, daily tournaments, and unmatched customer service await you. Why would you play anywhere else? Just minutes from downtown Montreal across the Mercier Bridge. Playground. We're also brought to you by La Bittt Tibi beer. La Bittt Tibi has launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing thirst-quenching beer, perfect for those cool winter days, with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% alcohol per can. Available in a pack of 6 and 12 in groceries and dépanneurs all across the province of Quebec. Ultra light, ultra refreshing. And finally, we're brought to you by Betway. Go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Your offer is available only for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years or older. And please play responsibly. Okay. What a week. Right? I mean, last week it was almost, I don't know, I was expecting to come on here today and it was going to be 5-alarm fire, but Patrik Laine had other plans. So let's talk about it with Mr. Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette. Stu, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Not as well as the Canadiens, apparently. I mean, listen, they got 2 in a row now, a chance at 3 tomorrow night. And I mean, I got to say it. I was wrong. I kind of said, Patrik Laine, the guy hasn't played in over a year, just about a year. Don't expect this guy to come in guns a-blazing and be the spark that this team needs. And I could not have been more wrong.
Well, he'd be the first to admit, excuse me, his legs aren't there yet. He was saying the first game he felt dead after 20 seconds on the ice. Josh Anderson disagreed and told him, you look like you're dominating out there. But that shot hasn't gone anywhere, right? I mean, those 2 goals he scored, I tweeted last night, that's the shot when you can shoot the puck like Cole Caulfield, but you're bigger and stronger than Cole Caulfield, right? I mean, those are just lasers. And the thing with him, if you look at both goals, he wasn't just like blindly shooting at the net. You could see him look and pick his spot and then put the puck exactly where he wanted. So a breath of fresh air. We're seeing now why Habs fans were excited during the offseason when they acquired him. And if nothing else, he's going to make the power play a lot better right away. And the power play hasn't been bad this season anyway. I mean, they've been in the top 10, top 15 for most of the season. But just the movement, the way he moves around, Lane Hudson now on the first power play instead of Mike Matheson, he gives him another guy to I've been saying all along, I think they needed another big shot on the power play if they were going to put Lane Hudson on the first unit. That's why I thought they'd have Hudson and Matheson together, but now you've got Laine, so it makes sense to put those 2 guys together. And they're going to be fun finding each other. I asked Laine after the game last night, what do you like most about Lane Hudson on the power play? He said everything. He says like he's hasn't seen too many shifty players like that. He says he's like a smaller version of Cale Makar. So as Laine gets his legs back, I think he'll be able to be a little more dominant all over the ice. But for now on the power play, what a boost. And I think it was Josh Anderson who said, it was an early Christmas present for the Canadiens, getting him when they did, and his knee seems to be okay. He's wearing a brace on it, which obviously, but he hasn't looked like he looked a little tentative in practices leading up to him starting, and I thought he might be a little further away, but he might have just been being careful with it, right? And I noticed last night, one of the things I tweeted also is like he's one of those big guys that looks like he's moving slow, but he really isn't. Like Mario Lemieux was like that. Those big sort of guys, Jaromir Jagr a little bit, just the way they move, they prowl around the ice. He's great at finding open spaces. He can shoot the puck, and the Canadians have players that can find him on the ice. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch, I think, the rest of the season.
Well, that was the thing that I noticed in his first game back with the against the Islanders, was that he had the puck on his stick at one point. I forget if it was the first, second, or third period, whatever it was. He had the puck on his stick. This is after his goal, and he didn't look slow, but he slowed the play down a lot. He does. Yeah. He adapted the play to what he was able to do on the ice. And I found that to be really intense.
And he doesn't panic with the puck. He's really calm with the puck wherever he has it. And you're right. I mean, Juraj Slafkovsky spoke last season about how Sean Monahan was able to do that for him, slow the game down a little bit to the pace he wants to play at. And I think that's the same that we're seeing now with Patrik Laine. He has that ability. When he has the puck, he decides what the pace is going to be. And you can see the opposition is afraid of him, right? They know he has that shot, and he's willing to shoot from anywhere. And there's not enough Canadians players who are willing to do that. That's why they're ranked last in the league in shots on goal per game. But he shoots the puck when he gets a good scoring chance. And maybe it's rubbing off a bit. I mean, we saw Jake Evans last night on that shorthanded breakaway. Instead of passing the puck, he shot. We saw Juraj Slafkovsky a couple of games ago get 2-on-1 with Nick Suzuki. He shot the puck. They need to shoot the puck a lot more, and maybe that's one thing that by watching Laine game after game shooting the puck when he gets a scoring chance, it might rub off on some of the other players.
Well, that was my next point that I was going to make, was that we talked a lot about confidence last week. And that was a key word because it just felt like the Canadians were lacking a lot of it. They seem to have answered the bell in New York. Obviously, we know what happened in that game with the refereeing. I never like to blame games on refs, but sometimes they make that very hard. Yeah. Then Boston, they came out completely flat and they got steamrolled. But then he got into the lineup, and you could feel kind of a shift in the room when they announced that he would be playing. And that's, as a group collective, that gave the team a boost of confidence, just what they needed. It's exactly what Josh Anderson said. He came at the perfect time.
Yeah, the other thing, a column I wrote yesterday, it's nice to see Laine happy. Like, interviewing him and talking to him in the room, he just seems like he's enjoying himself, and he hasn't done that for a long time. I mean, it's been well documented, how he went through the NHL Player Assistance Program for mental health issues. He's been through a lot, from, his father suddenly dying a few years ago and back home in Finland while he was out injured with the Blue Jackets, getting traded from Winnipeg to Columbus and getting traded from Columbus to Montreal, excited for a fresh start in Montreal, injures his knee in the preseason, goes through another long rehab process. But he seems to just be, and he said he's having fun playing hockey again, and he realizes how fortunate he is to do what he does. It's at times, people talk about, every day should be a great day for NHL players. They make money, they have this, they have all that, but it's a job. There's a lot of pressure on these guys, especially in this market too, and it gets the guys. You saw it happen with Jonathan Drouin. But right now with Patrik Laine, with everything he's gone through and the work he's done for his mental health, he seems to be in a really good spot right now. And what a great way to start, right? 2 games, 2 goals. There's no better confidence boost for him moving forward. Also getting named to Team Finland for the Four Nations face-off. He was happy about that. He was saying that talking to him the other day, so he thought he should make the team, but he wasn't sure if he would just because he hadn't played. And he actually found out he had made the team before he even played a game. They called him on Saturday when the Canadians were in New York and told him that he was going to be part of the team. So maybe that gave him a little bit of a boost also. But there's a lot to look forward now for Laine moving forward. Just hope that knee can hold up and he can play the rest of the season, because he's definitely a boost that the Canadians needed. He said back they have a chance tomorrow night against Washington to win 3 in a row. They haven't done that this season. They only did it once last season. That was at the end of March. This is a really important homestand for them. 5 games in a row at home. Tomorrow night's is game 3. They're only 4 points out of a wild card spot in the standings. There's a bunch of teams between them and the last spot. But no, it's become, if they win again tomorrow, if they can run the table and win all 5 of these games at home, then you're talking about a team that's in the mix for a playoff spot. But then they go into that Christmas road trip that they have every year, which usually is a killer. And it'll be interesting to see how that happens. So right now, I mean, there's reason for Canadiens fans to be excited. Patrik Laine he's been what fans and the team were hoping he would be when they acquired him last summer.
Yeah, and talking about him being tentative, there was also that clip of Justin Barron running into him in practice, so that may have had something to do with him being a little tentative. But back to the Canadiens as a whole, you mentioned running the table, and it's still kind of hard to picture them winning 5.
Yeah, they haven't won 3 in a row, and it's hard to see them winning 5. But it's not impossible. Yeah, they're not.
It's not impossible. And it's favorable opponents. I mean, the Capitals are a good team, but they are without Ovechkin for quite some time. Then they got the Ducks, and then it's the Penguins, who they'll certainly be seeking revenge on after that really poor performance back in October. So it's a favorable schedule, but it's important to keep perspective that the Canadiens are lumped in with those teams. So
and the way Sam Montembeault's playing, I mean, he was really good last year. He kept him in that game. I mean, they were dominating at points, but then they just kept let Nashville hang around, and then Nashville started coming back, and Montembeault made some huge saves to keep him in the game. Happy to see him make Team Canada. That'll be a boost for him also, as he said now he wants to prove that he can be the number 1 goalie. It's not out of the question. Neither of the 3 goalies in Team Canada have been fantastic this year. If he can get on a hot roll, I think Team Canada is going to go with the hot goalie when that tournament starts in February. And if Sam Montembeault keeps playing the way he is, maybe he will be a number 1 goalie or number 2 goalie when Team Canada starts that tournament.
Yeah, I think he will be. Also, just it seems like he said he wants to prove it, but he's proving it with. It's like he's playing with anger. It really lit a fire under his ass. At least that's the way it seems. The last few games, he's been fantastic. There's no other way to say it. And just what timing, right? He gets named to the team, and then bang, he comes out with a shutout.
Yeah. And if you look at his numbers now, I mean, his goals against average is 2.82, and his save percentage is 906. It's not that long ago. He was like, his goals against was up around 4, and his save percentage was like 860. So he's one of the things I like most about Sam Montembeault, I think I've said this on previous podcasts, is just his demeanor. He's so calm and so laid back, and nothing really seems to faze him. Marty St. Louis spoke about that the other night. He doesn't get too high when he's playing really good, and he doesn't get too low when he's playing poorly. And I think that's really important for any goalie, but especially playing in this market. You got to be able to, roll with the punches. You're going to have bad games. You need to get over them. The question now for the Canadiens moving forward is how many more games are they willing to put Caden Primo in the net? To me, just right now, you ride Sam Montembeault as much as you can, and try and get back into that mix they wanted to be in, and get the fan base excited a bit again, and get the players excited again too, because you don't want that losing culture to start getting into the locker room.
Yeah, their next back-to-back is in 2 weeks. So if Montembeault could keep playing at this level, obviously not getting a shutout every game, but playing at the level he's playing at, I think that'll be the next time we see Caden Primo or Jacob Dobes from
it's December 2021, right? They play in Detroit on the 20th, and then Detroit's here on the 21st.
Exactly.
And then they play the 23rd in Columbus, and then they have their little Christmas break.
Yeah, so I would expect if Montembeault could keep this up, that'll be the next time. Yeah. I'm sure he'll be happy to do it too.
Every goalie wants to keep the net.
Exactly. They want to keep the net, and every athlete wants to play. So,
and even the back-to-back situation with goalies, I've never really understood why more goalies can't play back-to-back. I mean, if Mike Matheson can play 27, 28 minutes back-to-back as a defenseman, and Lane Hudson can play 25 minutes back-to-back up and down the ice, I don't see why goalies can't play back-to-back. I know mentally they have to be focused for the full 60 minutes of a game, but that's one of the things I haven't understood, why it seems to be this thing that goalies can't play back-to-back games.
You're going to get the goalie community coming after you if you keep going after goalies.
Well, some goalies might wonder that too. Some goalies might say, I can go back-to-back. Maybe some don't like it, but some might say, I'm fine. I can go back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we used to see
Fear. I think Grant Fear didn't. What was Grant Fear played some ridiculous amount of games on you. It was like 76 games or something.
Well, I think I was going to say Martin Brodeur. I think he played up to 72 one year.
Yep.
There you go. You just don't see that anymore.
No.
You know, and it's more normalized, I feel, for the Canadians because, you know, with Price's knee issues and that whole history, you know, you want to be a little careful with your goalies, but
yeah,
you ride the hot hand.
2006-7, Brodeur played 78 games, and the next season he played 77.
Oh my God. That's 78 games. That's even, you know, even if a player hits 78 games, that's it's pretty impressive. So,
and Grant Fuhr with the St. Louis Blues 95-96 played 79 games.
There you go. They just they don't make him like that anymore.
No.
Yeah. So,
no, but I think for the Canes right now, and it's gonna be interesting to see like how much more patience Kent Hughes has with Caden Primo. Like if he does play him again in that back-to-back and he has another rough outing, like, and if the team looks like they're on a roll and there's a chance of getting back into at least battling for a playoff spot, I don't see how many more games you can keep playing him if it limits your chance. You know, you want your goalie to give you a chance to win, right? That's the key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, it's harsh, but it's the truth. Yep. Is that, you know, I'm not going to say you don't have a chance, but you're not giving your team the best chance to win. It's just, you see it whenever he lets in a goal. It's like a gut punch, and it just sucks the wind out of all the Canadians' lungs.
Yeah. And I mean, the game against Boston, 3 goals in what was it? a minute and
11 seconds.
They weren't all his fault, but you need your goalie to make a save once in a while to keep you in a game. Like Montembeault did against Nashville. More than one.
Well, that's it. You know, no goalie is expected to be perfect, but, you know, make the saves you're supposed to make, but give us 1 or 2 that, you know, we can, you know, give you a stick tap on the pads.
Mm-hmm.
And we just haven't been seeing that.
No. But for Montembeault, we haven't seen that. And
big time.
You know, especially recently. Yeah.
So the other interesting things, talking about the Four Nations Cup, is that 2 notable snubs from a Canadian's perspective. Obviously, it would be Nick Suzuki from Team Canada and Cole Caulfield from Team USA. So Darren Dreger was on Montreal Sports Radio today, and he said that Team Canada actually called 12 players to tell them personally that, hey, sorry, you didn't make the team. Nick Suzuki was not on that list, which I found quite surprising. Mm-hmm. I think he went on to say that Hockey Canada wasn't happy with Nick Suzuki, that he didn't go to the World Championships in the summer. But I mean, hey, give the guy a break. He got engaged, you know?
Yeah, but that, I mean, if you're sort of on the bubble, right, and you're deciding who you're going to take, that might be a factor. And the same with Sam Montembeault. I mean, Montembeault turned down the invitation at the end of last season, but the season before he went and helped Canada win a gold medal, right? So I think if you've got players on a bubble and you have guys that have been more committed to Hockey Canada in the past, maybe that's the deciding factor. And from what Jorger reported, and he's a pretty plugged in guy, that might have been one of the deciding factors when it came down, do we take Nick or do we take this other guy?
You know, to me, it's obviously I spend a lot more of my time watching the Canadians than any other team. But, you know, Anthony Cirelli has been having a good season. But to me, I don't know. That just seems like a kind of an obvious one to me, of who I would put on the team, you know, in place of and put Nick Suzuki in and take off the team. You know, point per game player, Nick Suzuki is over a point per game player. And this is the first time that Cirelli has done that in his career. You know, he's a career 40-point guy, whereas Suzuki's been putting up, you know, increasingly putting up more and more points every single year since he's been in the league. It's just, you know,
but him not making the team to me is a good thing for the Canadians. You know, here's a guy who's never missed the game since he's come into the NHL. He plays a ton of minutes in all situations. You know, the pressure of being a captain in Montreal, everything else. So during those 2 weeks or whatever it is, or 10 days, he can go with his fiance and go on a beach somewhere and take a break. It's not. This isn't the Olympics. It's almost. Yeah. It's almost a bit of a bogus tournament, right? The Four Nations Cup, like Russia isn't there. Like they just picked these 4 teams, and you know it's like, yeah, we won the Four Nations Cup. It's not like an Olympic gold medal. It's not like, so. It's one of those. You know, I wonder if there's any guys in the team who were picked who went, oh man, I could have used a couple of weeks off. You know, I'm being serious.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I could use some time off. So now, you know, Caulfield and Suzuki. going to get a chance to take a break in the middle of the season. And I think that for the Canadians as a team, I think that's a good thing. I think it'll give them a little, recharge the batteries and come back. Maybe a little pissed off they didn't make the team too, with something else to prove, and move forward from there. So it's not all bad news that they didn't make the team.
Yeah, from that perspective, definitely agree. To even further your point, when people mention, I'm going to take Carey Price, for example, because, this is a guy who's done it all except win the big one.
Yeah.
No one, when talking about his resume, ever talks about the 2016 World Cup of Hockey that he won.
No, but you do talk about the Olympics. I mean, he did, and that's the thing. That's exactly, he's
for your point.
And Shea Weber, one of the reasons Shea Weber was a first ballot Hall of Famer is because of his success at the Olympics. It's a hockey Hall of Fame, right? Not the NHL Hall of Fame. So that's what I'm saying. Like the Four Nations Cup, it's okay. It'll be. I'm going to watch it. I'm looking forward.
I'm going to a game, but
but I wonder, like, is the compete level going to be as high as it is for the Olympics? And players are going to get hurt. At least one. And probably more than one star players are going to get hurt in this tournament. It's hockey, right? And as they get closer to the final, the intensity will move up, and there's going to be some teams that are going to lose key players because of this tournament. That's a risk. That's one of the reasons the NHL owners aren't crazy about doing these things. It's one of the reasons why the NHL owners aren't crazy about having their players go to the Olympics. One, shutting down the season. Two, risking injury. And so again, that's why in some ways, or at least in one way, it's good that Suzuki and Caulfield aren't going to that tournament.
Yeah, but it is weird to see the U.S. roster and to not see Cole Caulfield on it with the way he's been playing.
Another bright note: we don't have to watch an All-Star game this year.
It's true.
Not that how you don't watch it anyway, but I can live with an All-Star game.
Yeah, it's funny because the All-Star game has been getting, I'm gonna say, worse and worse.
Oh, it's just
even the skills competition, it's just
horrible.
unwatchable.
The dumb skills, like it's like I said. I mean, I used to watch. I don't even watch it anymore. I don't even bother. It's flip on the highlights at night and see if there was any highlights. It's not hockey. It should get rid of the All-Star game and just make make the outdoor classic an even bigger event. Make that sort of the NHL signature event, and just drop the All-Star game or play the All-Star game outdoor. Do something like that out of. But the way it is now, it's a joke. But we don't have one this year. That's a good thing.
Well, that's it. So we don't have to fall for that sick joke this year, which is great. Even what the best part is, because they always take a week break for the All-Star break, and then we have to kind of talk about it. Yeah. I'd way rather talk about the Four Nations Cup than the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So
I think the Four Nations Cup, it'll be good hockey. I mean, guys are competitive, and once they get going, and we're lucky some of the games are in Montreal to start the tournament, then they go to Boston. Best on best, and we don't get enough of the best on best when it comes to hockey for the reasons I mentioned before. How the owners don't want their players playing in these tournaments in the middle of a season and risking getting hurt.
Yeah. Anyways, but Patrik Laine, to go back to that, just to connect it back to the Canadians, I feel like Finland, like the Canadians aren't the only happy ones with Laine's performance, because I feel like that Finland or Hockey Finland, whatever their organization is called, they probably said, okay, he's our best sniper. He's going to have about 2.5 months to get his game into gear. And to watch how he's playing now, they must be over the moon.
Yeah, Laine said that, talking to him yesterday morning. He said, if the tournament was starting tomorrow, it wouldn't be an ideal situation. Like, he's the first, like, his legs aren't there. He's the first to admit. And then, thing with a knee injury, you can't do cardio, right? It's not like you're riding a bike or doing it. You're not doing anything, right? You can't. But yeah, that factored into it too. The fact that he's, as I said, he found out on Saturday, and I'm sure they had talked to him before, and he had told them that, I'm ready. I'm going to be playing again on Tuesday. He'd even said, he probably was ready to play last week. He just wanted to take a few more practices, and he actually would have wanted to play at home also once his knee was ready. But for Finland, the other thing he talked about is how Barkov is one of his best friends, and he's really looking forward to playing with him. Hopefully on the same line, as he said. He'll figure out when he gets over there. But it'll be good for Laine. As much as I'm saying the rest will be good for Suzuki and Caulfield, it'll be good for Laine, who hasn't played a lot of games, to not go through a 2-week break or a week and a half break where it is in the middle of the season, and keep his legs going and get his stamina going and get more into game shape as he moves along.
Well, that's it. It's like anything, when you take a break from anything, you're gonna have rust. It happened to me post marathon. I took 2 weeks off. The first run back, I almost threw up. That's how bad it's, and it was going easy, but you lose it, but your body doesn't forget that you had it. That's the whole thing.
Well, look at Kirby Dach, the struggles he's having. Some people say, look at Patrik Laine, he came right back. Yeah, but Patrik Laine didn't have surgery. He had a sprained knee. Kirby Dach had major knee surgery, and it's just 26 games in, and you can just see he's still not himself. Whether it's mentally, physically, probably a little bit of both. Whether the knee still isn't 100% confident in it, or whether he's still feeling something in there, or whether it's just a mental thing. And he's talked about he's sort of playing cautious, and I think that's his problem. Is he is playing cautious. I think it's in his mind that he's worried he's going to get hurt. And, speaking with Chris Nyland about this, and he was saying when he came back from his first knee injury, and there's no tougher who played in the NHL than Chris Nyland. And he said when he came back from his knee injury, he played that way for a while. He was nervous and worried. And then after a certain point, he just realized, okay, screw it. I'm just going to go all out. And if it gets hurt again, it gets hurt again. And it looks like Kirby Dach hasn't reached that point yet. But he's going to have to soon, because Martin St. Louis has been really patient with him, understandably so. We've seen what a healthy Kirby Dach could do, a couple of seasons ago before he had the knee injury. And St. Louis being patient with him, but that patience will eventually wear out, and whether he gets dropped down to the bottom six. One of the things Marty spoke about the other day after practice is that one of the reasons he was asked about Michael Pezzetta not getting in the lineup. And he said one of the reasons is there hasn't been injuries. And he says, my bottom six has been playing really well. That third line, the Gallagher and those, has been really good. And the fourth line has been good too. So it's sort of he doesn't want to mess up the sort of the bottom two lines. But at some point, then you get more production out of Dach, then you get more production out of Newhook, then you get more production out of Slafkovsky. At some point, I'd like to see them put Heineman up on that top line and take Newhook's place if he keeps struggling. Dach's a little different because there's still center, wing, and Marty's trying to figure out line combinations. That line he's with now, like if he can't get it going playing with Laine and playing with Slafkovsky, that's three big bodies, right? That's three. I can't remember the last time the Habs had a line where all three guys were like 6'3" or taller and 200 pounds or heavier. So I think Marty will keep those guys together for a while. And see if maybe Laine can help get Dach going. We were talking about how he can slow the game down. Maybe he can slow it down a little bit for Dach while he's processing it. But I'm starting to get concerned about Dach now because we're 26, 27 games into the season, and he just hasn't shown. He looks tentative out there, and that's why he's minus 21. He's tied for the worst plus minus in the NHL. I mean, you can take plus minus with a grain of salt, but we have the worst plus minus in the league. Something's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Dach is that you mentioned that he recognizes it and he's spoken about it, but that's not enough. You gotta. It's great that he realizes it, and that he's talking about it, but at a certain point, it's like you said, just you got to show something. I mean, you're a professional athlete. I get it. Your body is your tools for your profession, and that's what you're making money off of. But it's like you said. I can't see Martin St. Louis being too happy for much longer with what he's seeing on the ice from him. It's just it's tentativeness, but it also comes. We know what's happening, but it's looking like a lack of effort out there.
Yeah, and as I said, I'm tempted to say a lack of effort. I think it's just hesitancy. Like he's just hesitant. He's and it has to be worried. It has to be thinking that his knee being hurt. And then you talk about Alex Newhook. There's another thing. Like 26 games into the season, he's got 5 goals. He has 0 assists. Like how do you, as an NHL forward, play 26 games and have 0 assists? Like you figure there's one time that you give the puck to Mike Matheson in your own end, and he skates down the ice and passes to somebody and they shoot, and you get a secondary assist. I noted the other day, I think there's 12 goalies in the NHL that have at least 1 assist this year. Mm-hmm. And for Newhook, it's really hard to explain like what's happened with him this season. He had 19 assists last year in 55 games. It's like for him, it's not an injury thing. He's just sort of running around there and nothing's happening. And again, I wonder how much more patience Marty St. Louis has. Emil Heineman has been fantastic this season, like really involved, really physical, really, he plays like Arturi Lehkonen, but he's a bigger body with a better shot.
Yeah.
And like, I'd like to see him up on that number one line with Suzuki and Caulfield if they're not going to put Slafkovsky back there. And I think at some point that has to happen. I don't think, if you want to keep winning games, you can't have three guys in your top six who just aren't producing offensively. You're just not going to win like that.
Well, then you're back to and you're back to last year where you're a one-line team at that point, which was the biggest issue. It's so weird with Newhook because, he ended last season, he came back from his ankle injury, and he was, it looked like he didn't miss a beat. It actually gave him a boost.
He was great during the last half of the season.
Yeah, and now it's just nothing. You don't notice him. You don't notice. Well, you know what's scary is that you do notice Dach on the ice. That's the scary thing, is that he is noticeably out there. And
you notice him for a lot of bad things, right? Like the overtime game, the other night against the Islanders, he coughed up the puck in overtime, and bad play and just not aggressive enough. And Montembeault saved his butt, right? I mean, that just shows you though how much Marty St. Louis trying to get Dach going. You had him on the ice in overtime. You guys got one goal, and it almost cost them. So again, at some point, patience is going to wear out with both of those guys. And, patience with Kent Hughes has already run out with Slafkovsky because Arpan Basu reported in The Athletic about Kent Hughes giving it to Slafkovsky. I think it was Monday, like giving him crap, like, get going, man. We'll give you a lot of money that kicks in next season. We need a lot more out of you. We need you to compete a lot harder than you're playing. And, when Arpan asked Slafkovsky if that was sort of, I don't know if it was a shocker, but he said Marty St. Louis tells him that all the time. But when it comes from the GM, the guy who gave you the contract, it comes with a little bit more. So that's just a sign that patience is running out, not just with Marty St. Louis, but also with management. That these are key guys in this rebuild. Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook were two key acquisitions that Kent Hughes made, trading on draft day, right? Giving up first round picks for these guys to try and speed up the process, right? Get guys that are a little bit further developed than the players you would have drafted. Makes total sense, right? Then you get Slafkovsky with the number one pick. And all three of those guys, 2 goals for Slafkovsky, 1 goal for Dach, 5 goals for Newhook. It's not enough. It's not good enough. There's a lot of talk about Slafkovsky a couple of games ago when he had 6 hits and played a great game. And okay, you've got 6 hits. I think he had 1 shot on goal in 16 minutes. It's not enough. Like, he's got to be better. He's got to be better. And yes, he is only 20, but even Slafkovsky talked about this. He's only 20, but he's in his 3rd season in the NHL. And he's got to pick it up. He needs to pick it up. And Newhook needs to pick it up, and Dach needs to pick it up. Because as Marty said, their bottom six is good. Their bottom six has been solid and more than what you would normally expect to get out of your bottom six. They're just
I don't have the numbers. I don't have the numbers, but that's got to be, especially with just Gallagher in there, that's got to be one of the more productive bottom sixes in the NHL. Gallagher's been unbelievable. Heineman's been unbelievable. And so is Jake Evans. Those 3 guys right there, they've been great. You can't really complain on any level of play of theirs.
No, Dvorak's been sort of the weak link, I guess, in the bottom 6. He's been really good on faceoffs. He's just he can't score. He had the breakaway last night and sort of shot it right at the goalie's pads. But Josh Anderson's been really noticeable out there. He's the fight he had against Trouba against the Rangers. Trouba's now traded to the Ducks today, but Gallagher's been good. Jake Evans, I think, has been the Canadians' most consistent player since the start of the season. He's been outstanding. That was a really nice shorthanded goal he scored last night. Heineman, we spoke about him earlier. Yoel Armia has been a real effective player. He's been the Canadians have ranked 3rd in the NHL in penalty killing. He's a big part of that. So is Jake Evans. So is Josh Anderson. Been killing penalties this year. And you wonder why. I'm wondering why. Why wasn't Josh Anderson killing penalties earlier with the Canadians?
Yeah, and as you saw, the background fell on my head. We're gonna continue rolling here. It actually happened. For those of you who don't know, it actually happened earlier. But so the bottom six is something that is going well, and it's just why Kent Hughes probably would take it a little further. It's like you said, he probably takes it a little further because he'll say to those three guys that you mentioned that aren't going, like, hey, I pretty much put my neck out on the line from you from the get-go. My legacy is attached. But he's probably not saying this because he's probably not saying this to them, but he knows it. His legacy is going to be attached to those three players.
Ken Hughes, I'm sure said, I'm the one who picked you number one. I'm the one who gave you that huge contract that kicks in next season. Let's go, buddy.
Well, that's it, and frankly, it's not enough from Slafkovsky. Yeah, he had that game where he had 3 assists, but still, you need to shoot the puck. You were brought in as a scorer. You scored 7 goals in the Olympics, and that's what got you drafted first overall.
Yeah, 2 goals. It's not enough. Simply not. I mean, the Laine is tied with Slafkovsky in goals, and he's got 1 more than Dach. He's played 2 games.
And you know what I always get a kick out of? It was I forgot what day it was, but you tweeted Slafkovsky's stat line.
Yeah.
And it's just people coming after you like as if you're setting out a witch hunt against him. It's just a matter of fact. That's all it is.
It's Twitter's a cesspool as it is, or X or whatever it's called now. But Canadians fans, a lot of them go crazy just if you tweet just a simple fact, like Kirby Dach has Laine has more goals than Kirby Dach. Well, it's a fact. It's not. It is. Or I tweeted one time that Slafkovsky's contract kicks in next season. Same thing.
Yeah.
So people get upset. It's a fact. Like. He's making $7 million next year. You can't be a $7 million player scoring 2 goals. I don't care if you're 21 or you're 31. You need more production out of that when a GM like Kent Hughes has put that much faith and that much money in your pocket. You need more. And I think Kent Hughes was trying to get that message through to Slafkovsky when he spoke with him.
No, I completely agree. That's exactly what happened. And you got to feel like that'll light a fire under someone because, it means something when, think of it as a business, right?
Yeah.
So you're a regular employee getting paid. I don't know. You're at the bottom of the chain of the command and you're getting paid X amount of dollars. And then, you're not performing well. You have a couple meetings with your manager, and then all of a sudden, you're still not performing. Nothing's getting better. You're saying all the right things, I'm sure, to your manager. And then, but it's a results-based business, as most things are. And then at a certain point, one level above is going to open their mouth.
Well,
because they're asking that manager, just like Kent Hughes is asking his coach for reports. And while he's saying all the right things, I'm sure the fact is you're not performing.
To put it in newspaper terms, if my sports editor gives me crap, that's one thing. You're definitely listening, right? If the editor-in-chief gives you crap, it's another level of crap. And then if the publisher comes down and gives you crap, that's another level. So that's the same thing with the Canadians. You have Marty St. Louis, who's been on Slafkovsky's case, and I guess the message hasn't got through clear enough. So Kent Hughes comes in, and then if that doesn't get through, maybe Jeff Gorton comes in, right? So it's but as I said, they need those are three of your top 6 forwards who are key players in this rebuild plan, right? They're key guys in this rebuilding plan moving forward. They just have to be better.
Well, think of it this, for the Canadians fans that, are, they're, I don't want to say their expectations are lower of these players because it's just, maybe that's what it is. But the fact is, Kirby Dach was brought in. He's a 3rd overall guy. Yeah. He was brought in to be the 2nd line center of this team, maybe even 1st line center. After the first game of the season last year against Toronto, when he looked so dominant, a friend of mine looked at me in the face. We were watching the first game together in a big group of guys. He looked at all of us and said, I guarantee you this guy is going to be the 1st line center of the Canadians come Christmas time. And then he got injured the next game. But that's how impactful Game 1's performance was of Kirby Dach, carried over from the year before he finished the season.
But that line, as I'm saying, if that line can't get going, I mean that's the 1-2-3 line. And Slafkovsky was a number 1 overall pick. Patrik Laine was a number 2 overall pick. It's like, and the number 3 overall pick. So you got the one. There's no lack of talent on that line, right? They got to get it going.
Yeah. So again, it's nice that at least it's nice that Laine came back and kind of took the spotlight off of Slafkovsky, took the spotlight a little bit off of Dach, took the spotlight off of Newhook. Maybe it'll be good for them. Maybe if he goes out there tomorrow night and scores another goal in the first period, it'll even relieve more pressure off them, and it'll give them more time to get themselves into gear.
Maybe if Laine tells Slafkovsky to shoot the puck more,
he'll listen.
There's results that he's getting, and maybe
that's it.
Because he's got to shoot the puck more. I mean, that's one of the one of the big problems. Just looking at Slafkovsky's got 23 games played. He's got 29 shots on goal.
That number, since last week,
Cole Caulfield has 71 shots on goal. Nick Suzuki has 58 shots on goal. Brendan Gallagher, 48 shots on goal. Juraj Slafkovsky, 29 shots on goal. Mike Matheson, a defenseman, 40 shots on goal. Yoel Armia, 35 shots on goal. Slafkovsky ranks 12th on the team in shots.
Yeah, and that's already a team that doesn't take very many shots.
That's right.
So, yeah, and he's part of that problem for sure. And again, it's just the frustrating thing about it is that he has a good one. It's not like you just want him to send it to the net.
He has a really good shot. And he's just you wonder, when he had that upper body injury where he was out for 3 games earlier this season, and he said afterwards it wasn't his shoulder, but like the last practice before he went out, he took like a little tiny shot, and you could see him grab his shoulder. So maybe his shoulder's still hurting. That's not why he's not shooting. But he's got to shoot the puck more. I mean, a lot of guys in the team are the same way. You see, I don't know how many times a game watching from the press box, you see a 2-on-1, 3-on-2. Guys got the puck in a really good scoring place, a good scoring opportunity, a high danger chance, and they don't shoot. They try and pass it, and it gets broken up, or you don't even get a shot on goal. You don't get a rebound. At least if you shoot, you might get a rebound. But there's too many plays, excuse me, like that. And in the game against Nashville, excuse me again, game against Nashville, they had about 5 great scoring chances where they missed the net. And, on David Savard on a breakaway, you don't expect David Savard to be a big, so that was actually something to watch. Excuse me.
Oh,
okay. There we go. And
we're good now.
There we go. And Christian Dvorak, excuse me. And they got to shoot more. They got to hit the net more.
And you know what? At least the guy who came into the lineup, it's falling again. All right, we're just we're finishing the episode like this. That's it. I've had enough. Exactly. It's been that type of week actually. Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that at least that they have a guy who came into the lineup who will never hesitate to shoot the puck.
Yes.
Ever. So, maybe Slafkovsky finds himself on a 3-on-2 and he's hesitant to shoot for whatever reason. Confidence is low. At least he knows Patrik Laine is there and he'll shoot the puck.
Well, the goal last night, I mean, the pass from Hudson the puck was a little wobbly, and Laine settled it down. He looked where he wanted to shoot, and he shot it and went right there.
Yeah.
And Slafkovsky has that kind of shot. He can pick a spot and shoot it. But, and especially on the power play. I mean, the power play, the puck goes around and around and around and around. You're waiting for the, Sweet Georgia Brown music to play for the Globetrotters. Right around. Somebody shoot the puck at some point. And Laine, that's one of the things on that power play, especially on that first unit. You got a guy there now who's going to shoot the puck when he gets a chance.
So let's end off on you having a conversation with 2 former NHLers, Chris Nyland and Rick Green, and you spoke about the refereeing in that Rangers game last Saturday. So my take on it is as follows. I believe there should be a human element to the game. You need referees on the ice. You can't just have robo referees. You need referees on the ice because if a fight breaks out, no one's there to control it. So that's fine. The issue I have, it's the same thing with the NFL. You need an eye in the sky. That's it. It's gotten to that point because with so much technology and so much available, so many camera angles. I mean, what does TSN promote on their TSN Plus app? Oh, they got 50 different angles of the Canadians games. You got so many different angles. You have to have the eye in the sky. There's
third referee with the headset, and sort of like what Dave Jackson and these former NFL reps do on the telecast, right? All the TV broadcasts have a former ref on their panel who's there to explain calls or it makes sense to me. The biggest issue I had with that game on this Saturday is that refs are going to miss calls. The game is so fast. Two refs on the game is so quick. It's so fast. Your view's obstructed sometimes. They're going to miss calls. And you're talking about robo refs. Like I wish the NHL would get rid of video replay unless it's to see if the puck crossed the goal line, because this has gotten ridiculous with all these video replays. But what upset me in Saturday's game is that it seemed to be referees taking personal issues they had with players and having that result in phantom penalties, which had an outcome on the game. Kelly Sutherland, Josh Anderson, the first period got flattened by Kreider, I think it was. Didn't have the puck, dumped on his butt. He gets up, he looks at the ref like, what the hell is going on? And he mouthed off at the ref a bit. Frustrated, heated the moment. He had every reason to be pissed off. Next period, throws a little routine check into the boards. There's nothing there. The same ref that he was mouthing off at. It's roughing. The game against who was it when David Savard took the 10-minute misconduct penalty after the second period? David Savard, a respected veteran player, a guy calm, doesn't lose his cool, was upset with the ref at the end of the period, argued with him about the call. They go to the locker room. Savard comes out to start the third period, and the ref gives him a 10-minute misconduct that he didn't even know about when he entered the room. So now the Habs have to play with 5 defense, a young defense core. They lose a veteran. They got to play with 5 defense for half of the third period. That's a referee putting his stamp on the outcome of a game. Sutherland with that phantom call for roughing. The Rangers scored a power play goal after that, I believe. That's a referee letting you got to have thick skin if you're going to be a ref. Letting his personal feelings result in a penalty that results in an outcome of a game. And, with so much gambling in sports now, calls like that, you start looking like, did this guy wager on the game? Like,
or that the NHL in general.
Calls that are that egregious where you look at, he wasn't blocked. You look at, like, that was not a roughing penalty. Like, if anything, Anderson didn't even finish his check as hard as he probably should have. He sort of just shoved him into the boards. And so you're opening a whole can of worms when referees start doing stuff like that. And that was one game. There was just so many calls. I mean, that scrum in front of the net when Slafkovsky gets body slammed by 2 Ranger guys, and he's the guy who ends up with the extra penalty. Joel Armia gets tripped at the end of the game, which results in the winning goal. No call. So you factor all those things in together, and that's when fans start going, what the hell's going on here? There's going to be bad calls. There's going to be bad referees. And usually in the NHL, the refereeing is bad for both teams, right? You see it every day. They miss calls, and that's part of the game. But that was a game where, like, if you didn't, like, you have a right to wonder, man, did one of the refs have money on this game? It was so bad that you wonder about that, and you can't have that in pro sports, especially not today when gambling is such a big part of the game, right? It's huge.
Well, the leagues, all these leagues
are a big sponsor in this thing because the leagues want the gambling money in the sport. But if you want to bring gambling money into the sport as much as this league do, it's like you're not going to go play poker at a place where you think the deck's rigged, right? Yeah. You're not going to bet on a sport where you think the outcome's rigged. So I think the NHL, that's why it's an issue and becoming an even bigger issue moving forward with NHL referees, especially when you see a game like that. And again, I understand refs are going to miss calls. I agree, it's part of the game. Like I said, I don't like video review for everything. I think just live with some of the mistakes that they make on the ice. But when they look like they're almost deliberate mistakes, that's when I have a problem.
Yeah, and you know what? You'll see this is a stark difference because there's a lot of scrutiny of refs in every league, and it seems like, honestly, it just feels like the quality is going down and down and down, and I don't know how you fix that. But at least when there's a flag in an NFL game, they'll come together, the group
Yes.
of refs.
You see that more now, right, than ever before.
Exactly. They come together in a huddle and they'll pick up the flag. They'll say, our bad. There was no penalty for unnecessary roughness. There was no penalty for whatever. At a certain point, I get it. It's a tough job, but you talk about having thick skin. You know what they always tell, what people in the Bengals community always say? Because the Bengals, while they're a bad team, they've had some calls not go their way, and pretty controversial ones at that. And what people are clamoring for? Hey, Joe, Burrow, we're talking about here. Open your mouth to the ref. That's the difference. You open your mouth to a ref in hockey, and then you start. They start take it personally. They start calling penalties on you. You're known as you have this reputation in the NHL. That's what they used to say about Brendan Gallagher, why he'll never get a call. But then in the NFL, look how many calls Patrick Mahomes gets. Look at how many calls Tom Brady used to get. And they would scream at referees, open their mouths and talk to them like they're pieces of dirt. And you have to do that sometimes, because at a certain point, you're this NHL ref, and, obviously, I don't know. I've never been a player, so I don't know if it's an effect of, you're going to open your mouth to me? Watch this. I'm going to make you lose this game, basically, or I'm going to do everything I can to make you winning as hard as possible. At what point is it like, not even have thick skin? It's, you're a grown adult. Just grow up and do your job. That's it.
You mentioned with the NFL, and I've noticed that watching NFL games, that how many times now you do see that flag on the play, and then you see the refs come together, they pick up the flag, no call on the play. And I'm thinking that must come from NFL up high, right?
Sometimes
or somewhere that they're telling the refs, like, do this. If you're not sure, do this.
Yep. Whereas
in the NHL, everything's fine here. We have the best referees in the world. Gary Bettman says everything's good. Well, you're not going to fix it if that's the attitude you have. Like the roughing call against Josh Anderson, for example. If maybe the other referees saw that and like, you get together and like, that's not a roughing call.
Yeah.
That was not roughing. Okay, no penalty. We screwed up. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like the game is so fast. We screwed up and you take the call back. But as you said, I mean, it's in the NFL too. Sports are getting so much faster. Players are getting bigger. In the NHL, you're also, your referees and lines, they're avoiding pucks or avoiding sticks. There's a lot of stuff going on in the ice.
Yeah.
But I agree, like a third referee up in the press box or whatever with video cameras and a headset to talk down to the things that might have been a case with the trip with Armia or whatever. They called that, you guys missed the trip, this game can't be decided on that goal. We can't allow that.
It's not even that they need to stop the play on every single time, but it's if it's a call that's made, maybe think about that one again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just it's with the advancements in technology and it being more and more involved in the game, you can't have these types of mistakes. You can't.
But correct me if I'm wrong, you follow the NFL more closely than me. Hasn't the NFL come out in the past and admitted they've screwed up calls in games?
Yep. They've done that. They've done that a couple times.
Yeah.
The most notable one to me, obviously, again, as a Bengals fan, was on Thursday night. Thursday night football, the Bengals lost 35-34. They went for 2 points at the end of the game after scoring a touchdown, and they missed. There were 3 penalties on the game, on that play. There was a holding call, and there were 2 unnecessary roughness calls. Both players that committed those unnecessary roughness calls that were not called, the penalties, they got fined on Monday after the game, after the games. So they'll find players and they'll come out and say, hey, this call was missed. Now, obviously that does nothing for the team that lost the game.
No, but it gives credibility to the league.
Exactly.
You screwed up.
Exactly.
You're admitting you screwed up. And again, it's going to happen. I mean, players make mistakes on the ice. Referees are going to make mistakes on the ice or on the field too. But admitting that you screwed up, I think, goes a long way as far as fans going, okay, at least they know they got it wrong.
Exactly.
At least they know they got it wrong. Okay, I can live with that a little bit better now.
Exactly. You got it wrong. And frankly, when the league comes out with a statement like that, that sends a message to the referees.
Oh,
I don't know, and I don't know how. I don't know
Yeah.
what happens and how they get held accountable after that for things because they don't publish that. But that is something that will send a message to the referees. You know what else the NFL does that the NHL should adopt? They allow one beat reporter, one from the game, that is on the beat of the game to go talk to a referee after the game. They get 3 or 4 questions, I think, and that's it.
Yep. Well, that would have been
what would have been your question?
Well, that game, my 3 questions would have been: why was that roughing on Josh Anderson, and did that have anything to do with him mouthing off at you previously? 2, did you guys miss Joel Armia getting tripped, or did you see it and believe it wasn't a trip? And 3, how did Juraj Slafkovsky, who got body slammed by 2 guys, end up with an extra 2-minute penalty that gave the Rangers a power play? And maybe they give a good explanation for why that happened.
Maybe they will.
And you go, okay. Or maybe they say, we did see the trip on Armia and we didn't believe it was a trip. We believe he stepped on the guy's stick or whatever happened. And, they're not going to admit if it was a payback for Anderson on the roughing call. But those are the questions. And I think, that's a great idea. Have a reporter after the game. I guess you don't need to do it every game, but at least have the option. Ask the beat. Do you guys have any questions to the refs after the game? Same as we get a text from Chantal Maccabee near the end of every game. Like, which players do we want to talk to?
There you go.
It could be included. Is there any? Do you want to talk to the referees tonight?
But that's it. It's as simple as that. They allow one beat reporter to do it, and I don't know if those beat reporters ask their colleagues, but everyone's, you got a question for the referee. Everyone wants to ask the same question.
Yeah. Exactly.
So they allow one beat reporter, 3 questions. That's it. That's all. And then at least you hear their perspective. You might not agree with it, but at least it's out there and they know that they're, susceptible to the blowback now even more because their word is out there.
Yeah. Yeah. They better have a good answer, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note, I hope that the Canadians have they don't have any problems with the referees tomorrow night. It's always the worst when you have a great game, because frankly, that game against the Rangers was a great game. What was being played in between the whistles was fantastic. It's just a shame that that's what has to get spoken about after the game.
Yeah, it was the story of the game. It ended up being the story. The referee should never be the story of the game.
Exactly. Anyways, let's hope they aren't tomorrow night when they play the Washington Capitals, and hopefully for the Canadians, it's Patrik Laine scoring another goal.
There you go.
There you go. Stu, enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
That was Stu Cowan. I'm Matt Ohayon. I'm going to fix this background. We'll see you next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.